Mystery Bros. Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Bros.
All right. Yeah, so this is the Mystery Bros. Today we are going to be talking about the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, we're gonna go in deep.
Yeah, we're going to go in deep in the Bermuda Triangle. We're going to try and we'll talk about some famous stuff, famous mysteries there that have happened, and then kind of give some theories and explanations, things as to what people think could have possibly happened. Because, as usual, nobody fucking knows. We'll never know. Maybe one day some scientists will figure it out, but as of right now, we don't know why so many mysterious things happen in that triangle.
We're honestly just as good as all the TV shows that go explore, because they never find any shit. So
except they get to go explore. We're sitting here in fucking Detroit in my apartment.
Yeah.
So at least they get to go to the fucking Bermuda and Puerto Rico and
I don't think they know how
Caribbean.
I don't think they know how lovely Detroit is. Detroit's the spot.
Yeah, they're probably jealous, to be honest with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Jealous.
Everybody loves this 30-degree weather right now.
Yeah, it's great.
It's to die for.
Hey, today's 45.
True. And that's a good day.
Sun. Today, I actually saw the sun today, okay? So that's a good day here in Michigan.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so the Bermuda Triangle, it's interesting, man. It's so big. You know what I mean? I didn't realize how big. They said it's, 1 million square mile?
It's pretty
huge. Which is
huge.
Fucking huge. So it's
Puerto Rico, Miami, Bermuda.
Yeah, it's the triangle that goes from the Bermuda Islands down to Puerto Rico and then Miami. So it's that triangle, all that area in between there. And it just seems to have a lot of fucking mysterious stuff happen there. A lot of ships that go missing. Not only ships, but boats, yachts, all that kind of stuff. And then a lot of airplanes that happen to be flying through that area just
definitely
have gone missing or disappeared, that kind of shit. So it's it's perplexing. No one really knows why. No one knows what's going on. But there are some theories.
Definitely.
But first, we'll talk about some of the incidents, some of the most famous ones.
I think the USS Cyclone is
Cyclops, you fucker, dude.
It's the Cyclops.
Yes, it's the USS Cyclops. If you stop calling it Cyclone. Yeah, USS Cyclops is one of the most famous ships, I think, that has gone missing there, just because it was a U.S. Navy ship.
Yeah, definitely. Right? It was a coal ship.
Now, this was a long time ago, so,
Yeah, definitely a long time ago. But,
we didn't have radar. We didn't have, the best communications and
stuff. We still had radio.
Yeah, they had radio. They did have communications.
We did have radio. All right. So, the USS Cyclops, it was a great ship. It was built for the United States Navy for several years before World War I. It was named the Cyclops because a predominant race of giants for Greek mythology.
Okay.
Which is cool. It lost 306 crew and passengers, and they lost in March 4th of 1918 without a trace.
Okay, 1918, and it happened to be passing through the Bermuda Triangle.
Yes, and this was a huge coal ship.
Huge. One of the biggest, right, at the time?
Definitely. This is like a Titanic ship, and we can all say the Titanic sunk too. But you have to remember, there's help. People radioed. Everybody knew the Titanic was going down.
Haven't they not found any remnants of the ship either? They've looked for it?
Nothing. There's been a diver who's claimed that he saw it, but then the people actually went there.
And it wasn't?
Yeah. And it wasn't there.
Okay. So
the official word is they still claim that it was shot down by the Germans. And one thing is very clear, that after the war, they looked at the German records and there was no evidence of any ship or any German submarine in that area shooting it down. The reason why that's actually kind of significant is the Germans kept very good records of everything. They were very meticulous, knew records of insane things. So
if they shot it down, they probably would have had a record of it.
They would have had a record of it.
Okay.
And at the time when the Germans lost, they had to give all,
We weren't at war during that time, were we, 1918?
Yeah, that was the end of the war.
That was the end of the war, so it was in the war? Okay.
Yeah.
So it is possible, and then just didn't record it maybe, but...
Yeah. But it was at the time when they were losing. They were, almost lost. So, the German... why would a German submarine be out there? They need to be protecting its homeland.
Yeah, true. Okay.
So that's the official story. The fact that just it was reported days before that a motor had like a faulty motor, and they're heading back to Miami.
It was making a trip back from Brazil, right? It picked up a ton of coal in Brazil. Some people say that they think it may
from Rio
have been,
de Janeiro, February 16th.
Yeah, people say it may have been a little bit over, like they may have put a little bit too much coal in there, right? Not that would like cause it to sink or anything, but that just is never a good thing to have too much.
Yeah, some people do claim it that, but I still say like, why wasn't there any radio? Yeah. But
so they were coming back from Brazil, and they stopped in like the Bahamas or something, right?
Yeah.
They stopped, and then they figured out that their engine had some issues, but they were like, "It'll be all right. We'll just make it back to Virginia or something," right? That's where they're going. Florida. Okay, they were going to Florida. Okay, and then just on their way there, just completely disappeared without a trace, right?
Yeah.
No
radio, nothing. Like usually when something happens, you'd have like at least like a mayday or something like help, got struck. Nothing. And these are like these people are on the Navy. They like know like these aren't just like your regular tourists.
Yeah.
Like
and they went and looked for it after that, right? Like they sent out.
Navy. You can never find it.
Never found anything, right?
No.
Man, from that big of a ship.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
And one diver said claimed he saw it, but they never could verify it. I mean, it could be possible. Like the Bermuda Triangle is huge. Like
it is very big, and I mean,
it could go into. They say it's like it's one of the deepest places too. So there's definitely deep.
So it could be just down there, huh?
Yeah, it could just be down
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that. It's such a mystery. It's crazy. No one really knows. And then didn't like later on, 2 other ships that were part of that same fleet of coal ships that disappeared as well.
They disappeared too later.
Yeah.
Without trace too. These are smaller, but like.
Yeah.
They were big too.
Both part of the exact same fleet as that boat.
Yeah.
They both disappeared. It was the USS
the Proteus and the Nereus.
Proteus and the Nereus.
They vanished at sea during World War II. Both ships were transporting heavy loads of metallic ore similar to that which loaded the Cyclops during her fatal voyage. In both cases, their loss was theorized to have been the result of a catastrophic structural failure. But more outlandish theory attributes to all 3 vessels' disappearance to the Bermuda Triangle.
Bermuda Triangle. Dun dun dun. Yeah, dude, it's fucking crazy, man.
I mean, I think Bermuda. When was the first time you heard about the Bermuda Triangle?
Oh, dude, I saw this horror movie when I was a little kid, and it was called like Ghost Ship or something like that. It was a stupid like sci-fi movie or whatever, but I was a kid and I was like, yeah. And it had to do with that. It was like a big cruise ship or something that like went through the Bermuda Triangle, and like they got like, just it was a horror movie, so like dumb shit happened, but it got me intrigued because then I looked up the Bermuda Triangle. I was like, oh, this is like a real thing. This people like boats go missing and shit here. I don't know how old I was. I was probably like 12.
Yeah.
What about you?
I don't know, but I've always been fascinated with the story.
You don't remember when you first heard about it?
I was young. I actually read a book about it when I was like
You read a book about 12.
It? Dude, my parents made me read. I didn't like reading, so I just like picked a book about the disappearance of...
That's cool, dude. Disappearance of... Yeah, dude, like... I probably read a few books about it when I was younger. Not like novels or anything, but, picture books and like information books. But, yeah, it's one of those things that's always fascinated me just because no one really knows what happened. And, I love those mysteries, man. I just love them.
Yeah. I mean, do you have a guess? What do you think? What do you think happened to the Cyclops?
So what happened to the Cyclops, dude? I don't know, man. Like, there's a lot of different theories, right? Like the one theory that I find really interesting is the methane gas theory.
But all 3 happened to all 3 of them? Just the methane?
I mean, it's possible.
All 3 of them just got just real bad luck.
Not just them. Like it happens to a lot of boats there. In my opinion, if that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah, some people say it's the methane and it caused with the motor.
People say that there's a lot of like methane gas pockets under the earth in that area, and it'll like come out of the ground and like bubble up to the surface, and then it can cause all kinds of stuff. I've heard like some people try and say like the science behind it is like it'll like cause the weight of the water to get like less, so it like sucks ships down. I've heard that, and I've also heard that just like I don't know, the methane gas pops up, and then something can like catch fire because of that, or it can explode. Methane is very flammable.
Yeah, I mean it's a very intriguing theory. I believe it's just like if it just happened to one, okay, I could see it just one big explosion. And I guess it's hard to find if you don't. I mean, the Bermuda Triangle is huge, so if you don't really know where it disappeared,
yeah,
I guess it'd be hard to find evidence of that.
Yeah, I feel like it's almost impossible once it's like sunk to like find it. You know,
yeah,
because the Bermuda Triangle is huge. Unless you knew like its exact last location. But even then, like, there's some crazy storms that happen in the Bermuda Triangle, and that can move debris and off stuff.
I mean, we never found Flight 19. Not Flight 19. What's the?
Yeah, it was Flight 19.
No,
the one in the Bermuda Triangle.
No, the flight in like the Philippines.
Oh, that Malaysian flight.
Malaysian flight.
Oh, yeah, I forget what that one's called.
We still haven't found that either.
Yeah, there's some interesting conspiracies about that.
We'll
we can
look
into at another episode. We're getting off topic, Corral. Yeah, I mean, the methane gas thing is really interesting. I think that's a possibility. I wish we could, like, study it a little, though. I think that some scientists are like, no, that's silly. Some are like, that makes sense. But I just don't know, like, how... I ain't no dang scientist. I don't know how to figure it out myself.
So I guess that'd be a huge ship. And that would explain why... there was like no transmission because like you're just like just chilling 1 second,
yeah,
just chilling 1 second and next you're just
poof gone, sunk, exploded,
Definitely.
And they had we watched this one show about the Bermuda, and they had a dude who like said he was riding on like a little dinghy boat through between islands like around there, and that happened to him. Like a little methane pocket came up. And something in his engine triggered it, and it exploded, and like it exploded the boat. The boat sunk, and they got rescued.
Definitely.
He says it, so I think it can happen.
Right.
Can it take down a huge ship like that? Yeah, I don't know.
But like I think that's a plausible theory. But you think all 3 ships happened to them like that?
I don't know.
So just
I don't know much about the other 2 ships, like what the circumstances were.
The same they just went away in World War II through the Bermuda Triangle.
And were never heard from again?
Never heard from again.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean, we found out recently there's giant squids, so you can never rule out. Maybe it just was like a sea monster.
Sea monster, dude. That's one theory that I have not seen anywhere. People say it's some crazy sea monster.
Right.
You'd think out of all, there's all kinds of crazy theories. You'd get that one, you think, but I guess not. It's not very credible. Apparently, sea monsters is silly. Aliens are cool, but sea monsters are silly.
Yeah, I wonder if the alien, if the people who believe in the alien one are like, are you really thinking?
Yeah, they'd look at you like, what? Sea monster? You fucking idiot. It was aliens. I mean, as we know, obviously with the Bob Lazar episode, I definitely believe in aliens, and I believe that like they've visited and this and that, but I just don't know if that's
I want to
say with the Bermuda Triangle. But it could be, dude.
No, that's as good as a guess.
The Bermuda Triangle is just as secluded as like a desert in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? Oceans are even more secluded than deserts and stuff. Maybe aliens are coming down, and obviously the alien theory. They say that area of the Bermuda Triangle is like an extraterrestrial hotspot. They get lots of alien sightings. I think we even talked about how Christopher Columbus was like basically the first. He said he saw like lights in the sky or whatever.
And back then, dude, it couldn't have been anything else. Like
it had to be aliens.
That must be weird, dude. If they never ever saw sightings, but like if you were just like just a regular dude and saw like something in the sky like make a crazy turn, like swoop down or something.
Yeah.
You'd have to think that's aliens, right? Like,
back in the when was it, 1500s when he came over, 1492, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there were no planes or anything of that sort back then. So, yeah, what would you even think? Who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, going along with that, obviously a lot of people like to talk about aliens here, and one big reason that there's any credibility towards that is because of this incident on the USS John F. Kennedy. And this incident supposedly happened in 1971. Now, obviously, I got to say here, there's no like official records or anything of this. Obviously, how it got out is some dude that is really into UFOs or whatever claims that a crew member from the ship came out and told him that this happened, and apparently this is a credible crew member.
Mm-hmm.
You know, always get a little skeptical when you hear that's how it came. But so apparently it was the USS John F. Kennedy. It was sailing in the Bermuda Triangle. It was going to Norfolk, Virginia, and it was one of the comms experts, like the communication experts, who supposedly came out and said all this, and he was down. And the story goes that after they were sailing back, a little bit of a storm was starting to come over them. Nothing huge, but just like a little storm was coming up over them. And all the communications equipment, all the instruments, like the radio, the radar, everything just started like malfunctioning, acting really strange, like they couldn't radio anybody. Basically, they said that all the information that they were receiving from their communications was just nonsense. Like it wasn't making any sense. It was just like randomness that didn't make any sense. So he says somebody rushes down into the ship, like into the hull, and says that there's something hovering over the ship. Like something really strange is happening outside. You guys got to come check this out. So the crew like climbs up and they saw it basically. Like they said that there was a huge ship. It was obviously the orb, you know, the circular shape that everyone says. They said it was glowing. It was glowing like yellow-orange color. And it was just hovering over the ship. They said for a total of about like 10 minutes or so. While this was happening, they went back down to the comms, and all the computer screens were supposedly like glowing. Like everything was like glowing yellow, glowing green. Like they were getting some sort of like, energy surge or something like that. And they described it as a large glowing sphere, 200 to 300 feet in diameter. It was glowing yellow-orange. And then basically their captain kind of gave like a alert to everyone and was like, everybody get back downstairs, get back to your shit. Like, go back to what you're doing. Nothing's happening here, basically. Everyone was like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, this is crazy, you know? But they didn't have a choice. So everyone just kind of went back down to the ship. And apparently after about 10 minutes or so, it went away. And then 20 minutes or so after it left, all the communications kind of came back on and everything went back to normal down there.
Dude, I would have been freaking out. I could just go back and do my job. Just go
That's
back and do my job.
Saying. Yeah, I'd be like, fuck you, Captain. There's a fucking alien spaceship flying over us right now. Like, I'm not just going to go back down and start reading the fucking computer screens. Like, fuck you.
The next thing I look, I'm in a fucking different universe, bro. Like,
yeah, are you kidding me? I would not be going back down. I would be staring out there. And this was in 1971. Too bad they didn't have, like, cameras. And like, they did have cameras, but they're not, like, portable ones and shit like we have today. But
that's crazy.
Yeah,
I definitely do feel like there's like some kind of fog. Like I've heard that rumor, so like there's like a thick fog.
We're gonna get into that in a second. But real quick, so like apparently, according to this crew member, about 12 hours or so after that incident happened, there was like a group of like 5 men in trench coats that flew in onto the ship. And they came and they boarded the ship, and they basically started like asking everyone questions about what happened. And then after they got like done questioning everybody, they were basically just like, "You can't tell anybody about this. Like, you can't say anything about this. This is like classified. We don't, you know." And he said they tried to tell him it was some sort of like military experiment or something, but all the people were just like, fuck no, that wasn't a military experiment, that was something else. And then before they got back to land, they were told by their captain not to talk about this to anybody at all, or else there would be consequences. So it's almost like they said there was like a Men in Black came and showed up and, flashed them like you didn't see anything. So that's an interesting story,
How many people come out? Just one? Or
that's the thing. It's just the one dude that was just the comms expert, and he didn't come out to like a news source or anything. He came out to this UFO guy, supposedly. So that's why it's a little skeptical on that one.
Anybody else verify a story?
No.
None of the crew members?
No other crew members have come out or anything.
I mean, I guess you can look at it two ways. You can say that they just are afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
Or he just like, dude, I just need some attention right now. Like,
yeah, or he just, wanted to get, I wonder, I don't know.
But still, like, why would you like make that up? I feel like, why would you make that up? Like, and he had so much diameter.
People make stuff up all the time. That's a cool story.
I know, but like, if you you would tell a cool story to a news source?
It wasn't really a news source. It was like a UFO expert.
Oh, you're playing down your own story. Huh? You're playing down your own story.
I'm not saying I believe it. Like this is actually, I'm just telling you this is a story that a lot of people talk about when they talk about the Bermuda Triangle. Yeah, this is a big one. Just because supposedly it's firsthand.
Yeah, definitely first-hand contact. Yeah. Not contact.
Like a first-hand story. Yeah, supposedly came straight from the communications expert.
So you think like other ships have been like beamed up?
I don't know, man. I mean, that's
easy.
That's theories, obviously.
I mean, it's such a quick way. Like you won't have any contact. Like all comms are down.
There wouldn't be any.
Yeah. Evidence.
Trace.
No trace.
Evidence. Nothing. Yeah, it's always interesting. Always got to throw aliens in there because that's interesting. But yeah, so that's one story that people like to throw in there when they like to bring up the alien theory.
Yeah. I mean, you can't rule it out.
What would you think? Like they're coming, they're like abducting the ships and just taking them? Maybe. I mean,
I guess like just like how we see.
Are they sinking them? I don't know. I haven't looked too much into the aliens theory.
They probably like lift it up and like just hovers into the ship.
Yeah,
like
they bring them up and then they want to like study it and shit.
Study it.
Yeah, I guess that's the
They're
typical.
Just curious.
But then people never return. They never return it.
Maybe they'll return in the future.
Yeah, I mean,
Could you imagine just having a boat up here like right now?
from 1918,
yeah,
like all the people are still on there, like all the people are still the same age and everything.
Yeah.
They just show up in Florida and they're just like, what the fuck's going on? They're seeing like,
what the hell happened?
Yeah, like huge buildings, like skyscrapers and like high tech, like newer boats, like yachts and stuff. They're like, what the fuck is this? That'd be crazy. Time travel is super interesting.
Yeah.
We should go into that in some podcast in the future.
Definitely. But I think that's a theory. Also, the theory is I think there's a lot of evidence for this theory.
Go ahead.
It was Atlanteans.
Atlantis.
Yeah, it points all
the Atlanteans.
It points to it. I mean, Plato said Atlantis was sunk.
Yeah, all right. Atlantis has been in a lot of ancient mythologies and ancient writings, ancient texts. And I mean, to be honest with you, I somewhat believe it, but I don't think it's like some super crazy high tech thing like they say. But I think Atlantis was a city, like an ancient civilization, and it got taken over by a flood or something. That happened a lot back in the day. Like water levels changed a lot.
Right. So the theory goes. I mean, that's why there's been a bunch of lights reported in the Bermuda Triangle, and people just think that maybe the Atlanteans survived and they're actually thriving underwater, and they're having their spaceships, and they're they're just flying out.
People can't see you right now, so they're not going to see the grin on your fucking face. You're saying that so seriously.
Yeah, I know, but
that is a theory. But
I guess it's compelling, just like any other.
I don't think Atlantis
No,
is like
definitely not.
thriving underwater right now. I think Atlantis was an ancient city. It got overtaken by water, and that's it. Everyone died, and the survivors came to Egypt and started the ancient civilization of Egypt. And I believe that they were probably more advanced than we think because people have been around for a long time.
Yeah. But also another compelling theory, I think, is fog, distortion. That just like it's more for flights to make the compasses fail and everything. They could have been distorted when they got like hit something that the fog.
Yeah, there's
just,
a lot
like,
of strange
blocking.
energy in there, right? Like apparently,
The fog could be dense.
yeah, it's where true north meets magnetic north, so it can cause a lot of like issues with like compasses and that kind of stuff. So I've also heard people, although this is more for like the planes than the boats, but I've heard that when you're flying over that area, that's it's just so open, just open water, and you can get really disoriented and you can get vertigo, and it tends to happen. Like that's like when you're flying out from Miami or from Puerto Rico or from one of those places and you're going through it, that's where you start to get that.
Yeah. So I think the official story in the other two ships is that it was overloaded and they just sunk.
But they haven't found them, right?
No trace, no call for help. That's the most compelling thing, I think, is it had to be something sudden. Like, I think the tidal wave, that's another theory, is that a huge wave came.
Rogue wave.
Even though, like, I've just never seen really one. Like, have you, like...
But they happen. It's for sure. Like, no one argues that rogue waves happen.
Yeah, I think...
People have seen them many times, just because I haven't in person. Thank God I haven't, by the way. That's the last thing I want to see, dude. That would literally... One of the scariest ways for me to die, I feel like, would be, like, abandoned in the ocean. Like, abandoned at sea. Like, I had to abandon my boat or something, you know what I mean? That's literally the scariest scenario in my entire life.
Like, and you want to go on a cruise ship, Evan?
Yeah, because... Yeah...
You just see a huge wave.
I want to go on cruise ships that don't cross the ocean. Just go through just go to the Jamaica and dock there for a few days. You know, that kind of shit.
Yeah, rogue waves happen.
Yeah, rogue waves definitely happen, and that's definitely a theory that
just came
across some rogue waves. I mean, there's definitely some rough weather out there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like didn't they say like most hurricanes that hit the south like that go through there? Yeah,
the only thing they say that it kind of against it, there was no weather at the time. It doesn't mean like it couldn't have happened. Yeah. It could have been just like a spontaneous one.
It could have just been a spontaneous.
That is true, but like there was no weather associated to it.
I don't know.
It's something like that. Like, what do you think happened?
I said I don't know, dude.
What's your best guess?
I think the methane thing.
The methane? I think
it's only because I heard like some scientists claim that like that's.
I think it's the rogue wave.
You think it's rogue wave?
I think.
Yeah, that one makes the most sense. That one's the safest, by the way, you pussy. That one is the safest. That's the safest thing you can say. Like, yeah, it was a rogue wave.
All right, let's go to Flight 19. So Flight 19 was a training flight.
Yeah.
For 5 torpedo bombs, and they disappeared on December 5th, 1945. Was while over the Atlantic. The squadron's plan was flight to schedule them due east from Fort Lauderdale and go north, and then back to the final 140 to complete the exercise. They took off from Fort Lauderdale.
Oh.
So it was a training exercise.
Okay.
And over the Atlantic, they mysteriously disappeared. And you have to remember, these are like flight pilots. Like they know their shit.
Yeah.
They haven't been like flying for 3 months. They know. No trace.
That's crazy. No trace at all. No radio.
Oh, no radio saying no. Remember, the guy was like confused. He's like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Like the location. Like
that's right. I
don't know if we're going east. Like, our compasses are failing. Yeah, we don't know where we're going.
They had a radio transmission with him, and like it was like he was very disoriented. He didn't know what was going on. He said all of his equipment is malfunctioning. All of his instruments are showing him wrong stuff. Like he knows it's fake. He knows it's like wrong, and they were thinking like they could have gotten like oxygen deprivation. What kind of theories they got on this?
Well, there's like a whole bunch of theories, and then what's more mysterious too, the boat that went to go like search for them Never came back. No trace, no signal, nothing either.
Wow.
I went and searched for them.
I wonder if there's like one theory that I have heard that people like to throw out is that like there's a lot of like magnetic energy in that area because of like the way that magnetic north and true north align, and it could be like opening up different wormholes in space and time. Magnetic energy can create rifts and that kind of thing.
I don't know. For me, Flight 19, I think it's interesting that they're experienced pilots and except one, the head pilot saying he's lost. He doesn't know where he's going. None of the other commanders said anything, just disappeared. Which leads me to believe maybe if they were so disoriented, they just didn't know where the hell they were and just fucking crashed. They could have
just all crashed.
Yeah.
Not one of them was okay and survived. Like,
and then the boat just disappeared too.
I feel like that means there had to be something going on there at that time. They were feeling all weird and disoriented. Like, there was something going on there, I feel like.
There was definitely cloud. There was definitely cloud cover, yeah.
Like, what other kind of explanations are there, dude? You know, like what?
Well, like you saw the Navy, they don't even have the slightest clue.
Yeah, the Navy was literally in their paper like, we have no idea what happened. They're like, we can't even begin to like guess as to what happened.
Yeah, they can't even begin to guess, which basically meant
that's literally what they wrote in the report.
Yeah, which basically meant like with layman terms, we have no fucking clue.
Yeah, they have no idea what happened, and then the boat that went to look for them ends up being
gone,
disappeared. What are other theories? Too ridiculous.
Aren't too ridiculous. It was just the lightning storm.
Was there a storm at the time?
They said there's no weather reported, but they said there was some fog. So I guess a safe explanation is they just all crashed in the water.
Wouldn't there be some trace of them somehow though? Like if that happened, like I feel like there would have to be.
Yeah, that is just. I think it's just crazy. No good explanation.
In 1948, DC-3 commercial flight vanishes. Bermuda Triangle, so like a commercial air flight.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. It said on December 28th, 1948, Captain Robert Lindquist took off from San Juan with 2 crew members and 29 passengers heading from Miami. When the plane was 50 miles away from Miami, he reportedly radioed the Miami airport for landing instructions. And then the airport replied, and they never heard from them again. The plane was never seen again. There's nothing, like they never found a plane, they never found anything.
What happens?
Yeah. There's not really any theories on that one either. They just don't know what the fuck happened. There's a lot of shit. Like in 1963, the Sulphur Queen was a 523-foot tanker that was originally intended to carry oil, but it converted to carry sulfur. And on 1963, the ship sent a radio report that it placed 230 miles southeast of New Orleans, according to a report by Time magazine. Then nothing. There was no SOS, no warning, nothing like that. The ship just disappeared. 2 weeks later, they found like pieces of a raft and a life vest and a broken oar washed up on the beaches of Florida. But other than that, nothing.
I think one of the most common theories is that it's just violent weather's out there. Just don't know what's gonna hit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people think like in this case with the sulfur and with the other ships that like something caught on fire or something, you know what I mean? Something. Sulfur is very flammable, so is methane, so is coal, you know, all that shit. But yeah, so the most recent one was in 2017, and it seemed like it was just kind of like a small family plane, right?
Yeah.
It was the husband, the wife, and their 2 kids, sadly, like 3 and 4 years old.
Yeah.
And the plane just disappeared as they were flying back from the Bahamas. They were flying from Bahamas to Florida.
But I guess what you can always say is...
There's a lot of things that could happen to that, though. That was a small plane.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's claiming weird shit happened to that one. People can crash planes, especially, you know what I mean? It happens.
Especially
Small planes like that.
It's over water. Like, it's not over land. You feel like you can always see it over land. There's like a debris field, there's smoke. It happens over water, no one may know. Like, it could just be a splash somewhere.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And that's that.
All right, so another super interesting disappearance story here that I found about the Bermuda Triangle was it happened in November 3rd, 1978. All right, this was a plane. Okay, it was a smaller plane, I believe. But it was like, one that has like 20 people on it maybe. Mm-hmm. And it was a Piper Navajo plane. Not really sure what that means, but that's just the type of plane it was. And it was flying from Florida to Bermuda. And it literally, so like the story is, it got to the airport in Bermuda, right? And it was flying, and the air traffic control saw the plane, but they had another plane that was getting ready to take off. So they were like, yo, circle around one more time, and then you'll be clear for landing. We'll let you know. So the pilot was like, all right, copy that. Does another circle. Never heard from again. Never seen that plane ever again. No debris, no nothing.
So the controller was waiting for him to take another lap around.
The air traffic control saw the plane and was like, hey, you got to wait a second because we have a plane getting ready to take off, so just do another circle, do another lap, and then, come back. The plane was like, all right. And then never heard from again. Never responded anywhere after that. Never saw it.
So never found the ship, nothing. So you just, like, traffic control's like, okay, are you going to do a loop? That's a pretty long loop. Like, are you guys going to come?
Traffic control's probably like, what's going on here? You're good.
I told you to make a loop, not to go back and, like, come.
Yeah, so they, it was crazy. So it says after they were cleared to land, they radioed the plane and got no response. Plane was gone. No debris was ever found, nothing. No passengers, no nothing was ever found from this plane.
That is like
1978.
And that is very strange because, like, it's not like the fucking all of Bermuda Triangle. Like, you don't know where they went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. Like,
yeah, they know where they were. Like,
it's only a loop. Like, how far can the loop go? Like,
And apparently they sent out like a search party like 4 or 5 hours later to go look, and they found nothing. And it's like, you know what I mean? If it crashed around there, you'd think that 4 or 5 hours later there'd still be at least like some debris or something, but just absolutely nothing. Vanished.
Wow.
And like I said, this was 1978, so this isn't that long ago. This is like 40 years ago when we had radar, we have all that stuff, and it just apparently the plane just disappeared off the radar, disappeared off everything, gone.
Damn. That is, like, crazy because, like, there's only so far it can go. Like, you can only look so far.
Right. And, I mean, a lot of people want to just say, like, oh, like, it must have got disoriented and then, like, went out and crashed somewhere. But it's like, but there wouldn't be any sort of debris or anything from that.
Yeah, and especially since they sent, like, search rescue right after, like...
Yeah, 4 to 5 hours later, they sent a search party to look.
Wow.
Crazy.
Dude, I don't even know where to begin. Like, you can't even speculate.
Weird.
Like, I don't even know where.
No, there's literally nothing really about it. Like, no one knows what happened to it.
I mean, the disoriented one is like, okay, like, that's the only one that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really makes any sense is they were while they were doing. But how? Like, they were at the airport. Like, they were at the island. Like, how can you go?
I don't know, dude. Maybe the guy was like drinking, took like a right turn, and just like went that way, and just never saw the plane. The gas went out, and like they just crashed.
The pilot was just fucked up and like started flying out in the middle of the ocean. I guess. I don't know, man. But yeah, so that's a really interesting one that I thought was crazy.
That's the only one that can make any sense though. Like, I know it's very impossible, but that's the only one that like.
I wonder. I don't think I looked up if there's any sort of like official report on it, like what the official report says. But I just don't. I don't. Think
I feel like it's the only thing they can put the official report on. Like, they got disoriented.
Yeah, they crashed somewhere, but that's just a guess. Pretty crazy.
What if they come back in like 10 years, finish that loop? Like, yeah, we're back.
Dude, we were talking about that. Like, what if like these ships just like show up now, like 100 years later? You know
That would be so crazy.
USS Cyclops.
What would you believe in?
I'm here, like, delivering me your coal. And we're all just like, what?
Yeah.
All the people on it are still the same age and everything. Like,
dude, like, that would be like some crazy shit.
Freaky, dude. That'd be freaky. But yeah, so the Piper Navajo plane in 1978, that one was very interesting. I'm sorry, it was not flying to Bermuda. It was flying to St. Thomas.
St. Thomas.
Which is, I think, close to Bermuda. It's like an island near Bermuda, right? But still, they were there at the airport, flying over it, and then just disappeared forever. So that one is crazy. And then one last story that I wanted to talk about that... This one, there's a lot of holes in it, but we'll get there. Mm-hmm. Have you heard of Bruce Gernon yet? No. Bruce Gernon. So he wrote a book about this and stuff, but his story. So he claims that this happened in 1979. All right, he was young at the time. Like I think he was like 15 or 16 or something. And he was flying in a plane with his dad, who was a pilot, and this was a small plane, like one of those like Cessnas, you know what I mean, like a 2 or 3 person plane. And he says it was just him and his dad flying in the plane, and they were flying from one of the islands in the Caribbean to Miami, right? Right. And so the story goes, he was flying, and a little bit of like a storm came through. Again, it seems to be a theme. Always before like storms came through. So a little bit of a storm came through. He was flying through clouds, right? And it was starting to get, like, the visibility was starting to get a little low, and his dad was getting a little nervous. And they had just left the island, right? So they were, like, not that far into their trip. And then he says that a tunnel opened up in the clouds, right? And him and his dad just decided they're going to fly through this tunnel. So they fly through the tunnel. They say it was weird, like it was like very, like there was a lot of like weird patterns around them, he said, like strange lines and patterns that they were flying through or whatever. And he said that, they said that the tunnel was about 10 miles long. I've heard this story before, Yeah, you've heard this. A lot of people have heard this one. And it was like, the tunnel was about 10 miles long. And while they were in the tunnel, like none of their instruments worked, like none of their communications stuff worked. No one like knew where they were. They were completely off radar. And then after they said about, 10, 15 minutes, the tunnel ends and they were just over Miami. Yeah, like quick, like half hour later. Yes. Now, apparently, that's 100 miles from where the tunnel supposedly started. And to go 100 miles, like, it takes a long time. It takes like an hour or so. And they said that this whole thing took about 10 minutes. So they went 100 miles in about 10 minutes, which obviously is impossible. And, it's a widely disputed story, obviously. Yeah. He wrote a book about it called The Fog, but he claims it was some sort of, like, portal or wormhole, basically. Like how people talk about you fly through a wormhole and show up in another spot at a different time type of thing. And, that's what he claims, that they flew through a wormhole. Now, there's, like I said, this is a widely disputed story. The guy is kind of known for being a crazy. So I don't think I believe this one, obviously. Not that I don't believe that wormholes are a thing. I just don't know if I believe this guy. But supposedly, he's talked about it a few times, and a few of them were, like, on tape. This was a while ago, so... And so, like, the internet wasn't a thing back then, so he probably wasn't thinking stuff was going to get out that well. So, and apparently there's some very, like, different things about the stories. Like, apparently he's told the stories, like, 3 or 4 times, and there's a lot of different details every time. Like, one time he said it was him, his dad, and someone else, and then another time he just said it was him and his dad. And then at one time, like, the first time he talked about it, he didn't mention anything about aliens. And the second time he talked about it, he says he saw, like, an alien or something in there. So this guy just... that kind of hurts your credibility. Yeah, man. Right? It's a little fishy is all, It's a little fishy. Like,
I feel like if you saw Alien, you would have talked about it the first time.
Exactly, right? Like if it was the other way, like it was the first time we talked about it and the second time he didn't.
Yeah, then it could make it sense.
Then
like,
maybe like okay.
but still, you saw an alien, bro. Like you can just leave that out. Like, oh yeah, by the way, I saw an alien.
Right.
Did I forget to mention that?
It's weird.
I heard the story without the alien. I never heard the one with the alien.
No, yeah, apparently like the very first time he told the story, there was no mention of aliens or anything, and then the second time or like later on after when he was telling it, he definitely like mentioned like aliens and stuff in it.
Yeah.
So I don't know about this guy, right? He's a little fishy with that one, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's a cool story.
Yeah, it's interesting, but most people just chalk this one up to guy's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Especially since he wrote a book about it and he's, you know what I mean, he's trying to make money off it and stuff. Like, there's a lot of incentive for him to tell this crazy story. You know? Like the comms guy, you know, the last, when we talked about the ship, where they saw the aliens or whatever, like, at least that guy's not like profiting or anything, you know what I mean? He's just telling the story.
He didn't write a book about it.
Yeah. Like our boy Bob Lazar, you know what I mean? Like, he's not trying to profit or anything.
Yeah, he's never written a book. He's never written a book about it.
No, he's never written a book or anything like that. So it's like whenever there's books or like, you know, any sort of thing like that involved, I'm always a little skeptical, especially when you're changing your story a lot.
Right, especially if you didn't mention aliens your first time.
And then all of a sudden you do. Like that's a red flag.
That's like an important detail that you missed out there the first time.
Definitely, that's definitely a red flag for me. So yeah,
and David, no one else has come out, right? His dad has told the story, right?
No, I don't think his dad ever has been like interviewed or said anything. Although I'm not sure. I'd have to look that up, but I'm not sure if his dad has said anything. And supposedly the other guy was in the plane at one point, but then there wasn't. I don't know. So, so it's a fishy one.
It's a fishy one.
Yeah, Bruce Gernon. If you want to look more into it, you can check it out. His book is called The Fog.
But Evan, I think there's a triangle more mysterious than Bermuda Triangle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Ever heard of the? I guess since you're a Michigander, ever heard of the Lake Michigan Triangle?
I have actually. Yes. Yes, there's a triangle inside of Lake Michigan where some weird shit has happened. You know, same kind of thing. I mean, it's pretty fucking big. Like, what, 25,000 square miles or something? So it's definitely not as big as the Bermuda Triangle, but it's a pretty big area, and some weird shit has happened there. So
the Lake Michigan Triangle spans from Montauk, Wisconsin, Ludington, Michigan, and South Benton Harbor.
And it's all just a big area there in Lake Michigan, and some weird stuff has happened. A lot of it older, right? But then there was a flight there that recently that like disappeared, right?
I mean, yeah, like if you go back to 1921, I think Evan and I are so compelled about the Roosevelt and how his ship like just was mysterious.
Yeah.
I mean, it disappeared. The ship was found overturned in Lake Michigan. The ship had been damaged in the collision, but no other ship had been reported in the area.
Yeah, so it was just sailing through the middle of Lake Michigan.
Yeah.
On its way down to like South Michigan. Yeah. And it just showed up. They didn't hear anything from him. Showed up upside down with like a hole in the front, right? Yeah. None of the crew to be found anywhere, right?
And no records of any other ships like trying to shoot him down or anything.
Yeah. No record of any other ship even in the area.
Right. This is 1921. They also have radio at that time. Nothing.
Nothing. Yeah, no radio. No
so that is very mysterious. And it has not been... The ship has been found, but the crew members yet to be found. Even though Lake Michigan's big.
And there's no like remnants of them. Like Lake Michigan is not the ocean, so you can have divers like go down there and look at everything, and there's just no people there.
I know, Lake
Michigan has been known to have shark attacks, bull sharks.
But do you think that's what happened to the ship?
No, but that's what could happen to the people.
And then I think we have both heard of the bizarre case of Captain Donner.
Yes, dude, that one's really weird, man. So he basically locked himself. He was like not feeling good, he said. Locked himself in his room. Locked himself from the inside. Locked himself in his room. And then he said, "Wake me up when we get to the port." Right, and they get to the port,
and they like kept calling for him, and he never like opened. Like they were never opened.
Responding.
And so they got panicked and they were scared, and they opened the door, and he wasn't in there. He was gone.
No remnants of him.
No trace. They searched the whole ship.
There weren't windows, right?
Not where he was at.
Yeah, there were no windows in that room.
But I think he could have. I mean, he could have just jumped off because he wanted to commit suicide, I guess.
But how did he lock himself? How else could he have jumped out there? He was in like a room in the boat, right? He locked himself in from the inside out.
He could have unlocked the door.
But then how would he lock it again?
So he could have locked it again and then like walked out.
You can only lock it from the inside, right? That's what they were saying.
Maybe someone killed him. Someone took him out.
You never know.
Locked from the inside.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes it fishy. Is that door was locked from the inside. And there was nobody else in the room when they went in there. There was just nobody there.
Yeah.
So that's very interesting.
And then, of course,
what year was that?
1921.
1921.
Oh, sorry, 1937. 1937. Then I guess the one most disappearances is the Northwest Flight 2501.
Yeah.
One of the two most mysterious cases over Lake Michigan happened in 1950. The plane was carrying 58 people and crashed in Lake Michigan. The plane was never found. At the time, it was the deadliest commercial accident in American history. The pilot had just requested to descend to 2,500 because of a severe electrical storm, which was lashing the lake with high-velocity winds. When the plane disappeared from radar, to this day, the plane records has not been found, and the case of the crash remains unknown. About 2 hours after communication with Flight 2105, two police officers have reported seeing strange red lights hovering over Lake Michigan, and the disappearance after 10 minutes leads some to believe a UFO was to blame.
Wow. Interesting.
I mean, the red lights is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
And one thing about these like witnesses, it's police officers. So I feel like they're a little more credible than like your average Joe. Yeah. Your average farmer that's like, "Yo, it's still some lights up there."
Yeah. These are police officers. And didn't they say that sometimes red lightning can happen when there's like a positive charge?
Yeah, but it'd be really
but
rare.
It's very rare, and it usually happens a lot higher up in the atmosphere. So yeah, that's an interesting one. No one knows.
And that if it's connected, we don't know because it happened at the same time. Could have been totally different. Could have. But that's what some led to believe.
So yeah, the boat from back in like the 17th century that went missing in the Bermuda Triangle. The Lake Michigan Triangle now, called Le Griffon. Le Griffon. Le Griffon. It was a boat. This happened back in 1679. So again, it's like, I'm sure a lot of ships vanished back then, but and there's nothing like super crazy about the story. It left from Wisconsin and was going down to Bay City, Michigan, and along the way it just completely vanished. No trace of it, no trace of the people from the boat. There was a lot of people say that there was like a sudden storm and it like overtook the boat and then they sank or whatever. But Lake Michigan it's not an ocean. We can search Lake Michigan, you know what I mean? We can go down and we look, and the wreckage has never been found. So there's literally just no trace of it. Gone.
Le Griffon.
Le Griffon. Yeah.
This is back. Although, like, back then, like, I don't know how much we explored Michigan. Like, how, like, could have been lost in another lake.
I mean, maybe if they got off course, but they were going from, like top of upper Lake Michigan, Wisconsin to lower Lake Michigan, down by Michigan. There's no way for them to have gone into another lake unless they were like, let's turn around and go this way,
True. Yeah. I think like a lot of those boats have never been found.
The ones in Lake Michigan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's only a couple I think that have never been found. But we
did find it because we talked about the top up. Yeah.
There's only a few that have never been found, like any wreckage of anything.
Yeah, that's crazy. The Griffon.
A lot of cool mysteries there. Most of them happened, way back in the day. Like, there hasn't been much super, new.
No, nothing recent's been happening.
Yeah.
It's pretty old, but still pretty interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting, especially because we live here in Michigan. So
I mean, we skipped out on a few. There were a couple boats that went missing in the storm, but that's what fucking happened.
Yeah. They're all very similar. As boats go missing and they're never found. So, but yeah, we got another 10 or 15 minutes for this podcast. We could go into a little mini conspiracy again.
Oh, you ready for a little mini dibble?
Yeah. We can go into a little mini. Have you ever heard of Elisa Lam?
I have. It's a great, intriguing story.
Okay. Let's go a little bit into that one. See where we can go from there.
Dig deep.
I think she was a Canadian student from what? She was a Canadian student from Vancouver or Toronto or something. She was Asian. I don't know why that matters, but she's Asian. And she was staying at this hotel in California. And this is actually it's a haunted hotel. Richard Ramirez stayed there back in when he was doing his thing. Do you remember what that was? Do you know who that is? Richard Ramirez? He was a serial killer out in California, LA. He killed a ton of people.
Oh, the Zodiac Killer.
No, it's not the Zodiac Killer. His name was Richard Ramirez. And he was called I forget what he was called, but he murdered a ton of people, lots of old people. He was just ruthless, just straight ruthless. He murdered and raped a bunch of people, and was doing it for a few years. Got away with it, and he lived in this hotel for a little bit, so it's always had kind of a bad reputation of being haunted, all that kinds of shit. The room that he stayed in, I don't think they let people in there or whatever. But this girl, Elisa Lam, was staying there. I think it was part of a student thing, or she was a student. The circumstances around it, I can't exactly remember. We can look that up. But she was staying in the hotel, and she there's video of her getting into an elevator, right, and acting really strange. She kept hitting all the buttons, and was just acting really weird. Kept on every floor was getting out to look around.
Elisa Lam water tank.
Yes, stop. I'm getting there. And she was looking around, getting off in the elevator, but they never saw anybody else in the hallways or anything. And basically she goes missing. They don't know what's going on. She just basically, according to everyone, she just disappeared, and no one knew what was going on. And then wasn't it I think it was 3 weeks later or something, or a long period of time later, people were complaining that their water was smelling funny and was looking kind of funny. And so they went and checked the water tank, and her body was just in the water tank. I'm pretty sure completely naked, right? Or maybe fully clothed. I don't remember exactly.
They can't begin claiming low water pressure. Some later claimed the water was colored black and unusual taste.
Dude, people were drinking that, dude. People were drinking water with dead people.
Well, that body was found in a 1,000-gallon tank, providing water to guest rooms, the kitchen, and coffee. The tank was drained and cut open since maintenance. It was too small to equipment. The Los Angeles coroner officer issued a finding accidental drowning with bipolar disorder as a significant factor.
Yes, that's one thing. She did have some disorders.
Yeah.
But they saw her on the elevator, acting strange, but not
Lam's body had been naked. Clothing similar to that she was wearing in the elevator video was floating in the water.
So she took off all her clothes and then jumped in.
Yeah. But the funny thing is, it doesn't explain how she got into the tank. The doors and stairs that access to the hotel's rooms are locked, with only staff having guests having the passcode and keys. And
which is strange, right? It was on the roof.
Yeah.
But they did say that they asked a lot of people back then, what do they keep it really locked? And some people were sometimes they don't. As far as the door to get to the roof. I don't know about the doors to the water tanks.
Yeah, they said they could have gone through a fire escape.
Yeah, there's other ways to get up there and stuff, but no one really knows what happened.
But how she would have gone into the tank itself. All 4 tanks are 4x8 foot cylinders propped on concrete cliffs. There's no fixed access to them. And hotel workers have to use a ladder to look at the water. They have to be protected by heavy lids that would be difficult to replace them from within. Police dogs have searched through the hotel for Lam, and even on the roof shortly after her disappearance was noted, they did not find any trace of her. Someone may have planted it.
It's crazy. I mean, yeah, what it seems like to me is like maybe she was murdered and then someone put her there, but it's just strange. There's no video of anybody else.
Wait, is the video on YouTube? Is the video on YouTube?
Yeah, I'm sure there's the video of her on the elevator. It does look strange, dude. Like she like keeps like looking around and like getting out of the elevator and like looking back and forth. So like maybe someone was following her, type of thing. But she didn't look scared. She looked kind of just like goofy.
Looks like she's hiding from something. Like she's scared of someone.
Doesn't it?
Yeah.
There's no footage of her ever getting like anyone grabbing her or like anything like that, right?
But she's like scared. She like goes back in and out.
So what do you think happened then? You think that she was murdered, like someone?
No.
I think that the body had been decomposing for so long that they couldn't tell if she was like raped or anything. You know?
Why would she get out? Why is she getting out of the elevator and looking around? Why wouldn't she like press like the closed door immediately?
Yeah, what's going on? You know, I think that's why a lot of people think she was just like messing around. Because I think that she had friends that were staying there or something.
Presses all the buttons hundreds of times. The elevator door never seems to close at this point.
Weird, right?
Yeah.
You ever heard of the elevator game, Morel?
No.
People think that she might have been playing the elevator game. I've heard of it. It's really interesting. I want to try it. We could try it in this building.
What is it?
It's interesting, dude. You never heard of it?
I don't know. Let's go do it right now, Evan.
Look it up on YouTube. But yeah, I think that she was probably just... I think someone murdered her, man. I think someone, like, grabbed her. You know, no one really knows what happened to her. You know, it's just... She ended up dead in the water tank and just... It's just
a creepy video.
It's just been a mystery. There are creepy videos. You can go look up the video of her in the elevator acting strange. That's on YouTube.
Creepy video, and then she's dead in a water tank that's hard to get into.
Yeah, so that's just, another mystery there. Another mystery.
Yeah.
Love them.
Probably unsolved forever.
Yeah, probably. Just like most of the stuff that we talked about on here.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think we're good here today.
Good.
So the Bermuda Triangle has always been something that's really fascinated me as a kid, and even still now, like how all the weird, crazy stuff that happens. Just anytime like a boat or plane, anything like that, just vanishes, disappears, and there's like no trace of it is really interesting to me. That's why we went a little bit into the Lake Michigan Triangle too, because it's just really interesting.
It's interesting, and no one has an answer. No one knows.
Yeah. And then it was fun to just do the little Elisa Lam.
True.
Just a mini conspiracy there to fill in a little extra time.
Yeah, we loved it.
Yeah, so that was interesting to talk about too. We wonder what our next topic should be. I'm not sure. We've got a few ideas.
Yeah,
we've got a few ideas. We're going to come at you with a good one next week. But yeah, so thank you guys for listening to Mystery Bros.
Hell yeah.
It's always fun, yeah.
Peace.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.